goal! Yes, 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 yes! That was a goal! Striker! Eat that! And another! Bing bang, stick it in! Thank you and good night! Twat! That was liquid football! Shit! Did you see that?
Okay. Tina, please be nice. Tina, be nice. Tina.
Boateng. Is that his career over now?
Tina, be nice. Ask you to be nice.
Tina, shut the fuck up. It worked. It worked.
It didn't. She stared a fucking hole
Not
through me.
with the cold open.
I can hope so. I can try. I can sure as hell try. Yeah, hello everybody. It's your old friends at Monday Madness, and welcome to the latest episode of the That Was Liquid Football podcast.
Woo!
The Premier League might be over for now, but football is still happening. It's literally happening right now because we're recording this during the Champions League final. Definitely not scheduling clash. We totally meant to do this, incidentally. Because we just thought just podcasting on the go would be the smartest thing to do for a football podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my good friends Burkbot and Neil. How have you been enjoying this festival of European football?
That's been grand.
Mm-hmm.
Been all right. I mean,
that's good. A lot. It hasn't been noteworthy at all. It's been very, very quiet, hasn't it? Like it's been just a run-of-the-mill Champions League season. No shocks, no stuns, nothing like that.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, we're down to the final. The final's like Bayern and PSG right now. So I don't know. I think I kind of want Bayern to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, they've got a fair few players that I fucking hate.
Funny, on the opposite with PSG.
Yeah, on the opposite with PSG, like their whole concept.
Yeah.
Is something I dislike.
Their semi-final between disgustingly favourite drink Leipzig and PSG, like that is just like, which team do you hate the least? Like,
Absolutely.
it's kind of a given that you hate both of them, but like, which one do you hate the least?
I think that's the match that caused Richie Sadler to go fucking viral with that 1 minute.
Yeah.
The 1 minute is 1 minute.
Yeah.
And it's just basically like, one is just a marketing arm of a drinks brand, and the other is just a sports washing exercise for a regime that's been accused of human rights violations. So, like, if you consider winning as a proponent of how a club is run, then this isn't a match that you're going to enjoy. Like, I really like that.
Yeah.
You know, after so many weeks, months actually, of watching BT commentators literally suck the farts out of any English team's crack, it's just brilliant, you know? It's just, I fucking love it.
What I love about it was a British reaction to it, where people were going like, "Oh, that's what a pundit is." Oh, I was getting mixed up with Harry.
Is this match analysis? Is this what you actually call it?
Let's claim him as one of our own.
Yeah.
No, they can't, because he saw the Iden come up. He played for the Ireland under-18s in the third. Checkmate, Britain.
Too bad they were that fast off the mark with Katie Taylor.
For fuck's sake.
That's not. Anyway, let's move on to the podcast. We're going to start off this show, as we always do, with a round of Transfer Guff. Again, this is going to be an ongoing theme of the show, ladies and gentlemen, but this is about Barcelona. So again, I have found two stories that are somewhat plausible from reputable sources, and I mixed them up with one of my FIFA save file epics, if you like. And it's up to you guys to decide which is the fake. So,
Okay.
my top story tonight comes from Sport, which, as you all know, is a Spanish publication. And they're reporting that newly promoted side for the Premier League, Fulham, Scott Parker's Fulham, I should say, are looking to capitalise on a potential Barcelona exodus with an audacious move for Gerard Piqué. Now, Piqué would need to take a significant pay cut to join Fulham, Scott Parker's Fulham, but it's believed that the player has unfinished business in the Premier League and he is tempted by the offer.
Fulham.
So, Fulham, according to Sports. Fulham.
Okay.
My second story comes from a Dutch publication. I accidentally went to the Dutch accent there. I'm sorry. Dutch publication Die Telegraaf, which is Dutch for the Telegraph, and they reported that Luis Suarez representatives had made contact with Eredivisie champions Ajax over a return to the Dutch club. Suarez is obviously 33. He's looking to return to an old club he feels extremely fond of for a brand new challenge, and that's essentially why he's in talks with them. And my final story then comes from Brian Swanson of Sky Sports News, and he is suggesting that Man United have made inquiries to sign Sergio Busquets on a cut price deal. Now, I say cut price deal. The cut price is on the fee only. So it'd be a very nominal fee for Barcelona to offload Busquets to make way for other midfielders on the way, supposedly. But if Busquets wants to leave Barcelona, Man United have to match his wages. That is the caveat to the deal. So according to Brian Swanson, Man United are in for Sergio Busquets. And the other two stories, just to confirm, to remind you, Gerard Piqué are in talks to sign for Fulham, or Luis Suarez is in talks to rejoin Ajax. So what do you think of those three stories, team?
Bollocks, Ken.
I know what you. I know you're correct in that assessment, but one of them is actually bollocks.
I will go with the Busquets one.
To Busquets to United.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Berkwa?
Oh, what a fucking save! I'm gonna go with the Fulham one because what?
What? Come on, stop. Okay, right. So my first real story is the one that you didn't fall for, which is Luis Suarez to Ajax, which is supposedly very close to happening. It's apparently
him going back to fucking Amsterdam. Him wintering in Amsterdam again. Have you ever been to Amsterdam in the fucking winter? It's ridiculous. Like, there's no way he's going to do that. He's not going to do that. That's not fucking happening.
According to every source around Ajax, Luis Suarez is in talks to join the club, and that's in a way, his retirement tour. He's looking to try and go back to Uruguay after.
Well, they do want about Barcelona, which is a kind of a topic I'll cover later on.
Very much so, in great detail. My other fake story, my real story, beg your pardon, comes from Sport, and they are claiming that Fulham are interested in signing Gerard Piqué, which means the fake story was Sergio Busquets to Man United.
Fuck's sake.
Just let that sink in, lads. That Fulham are trying to sign Gerard Piqué. Like, genuinely trying to sign him, according to Spanish papers.
Aren't the Fulham the team that had the statue of Michael Jackson?
They are a banter club, yes. It is their kind of.
Do they want to add Shakira to their musical celebrity statues?
In all fairness, it's a better fucking call than Michael Jackson.
Far less problematic.
No. Only in one regard. Is that
one regard? Yes, that's fair.
Yeah, in one regard. To be honest, it's just proof we live in the dumbest timeline right now. Emily, Ronald Koeman is in charge of Barcelona.
Stop! You made me excited.
And Fulham are trying to sign Gerard Piqué. I mean,
don't you love to see it? You'd love to see it.
Yeah. Maybe we could see Shane Long playing for Barca.
Yeah.
We can only dream.
Wasn't
Coleman
a
did
fan of
spend
his?
15 million on them, yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's always hope.
He's a huge fan of somebody else. Who's he planning on getting in to replace PK?
My rejected Michael Keane was my rejected story.
Yes, he's going to go get Michael Keane in to replace Gerard PK.
Here's the thing with that transfer guff, right?
God.
I had so many stories of Barcelona. I could choose between the arrivals or departures, and the departures was the most like implausible. So that's why I went for them. But the arrivals are like fucking Michael Keane, Digne from Barcelona, from fucking Everton. Like this, it's ludicrous. Like he just wants to buy the Everton side. It's mental.
In all fairness, like when it comes to departures out of Barcelona, it's pretty much almost all of them.
More or less, yeah.
I mean, the entire Barcelona. We'll get into that when we come to the CODs. But that entire bar, like names like obviously Messi, Ter Stegen, obviously, and a couple of the other people that they've just bought in. So like Fatty,
your man from Middlesbrough.
Wait. Oh yeah, crucial. He's a crucial player.
Yeah. De Jong as well, isn't De Jong?
Luke, not Nigel De Jong. Yeah, I know who you're talking about though. De Jong, yeah.
Some mad Dutch. It's some weird.
It is De Jong, yeah, it is.
It is a De Jong.
I just can't remember his first name.
Yeah, neither can I actually. But there's not a whole lot that's not for sale with Barcelona, and even then, I reckon if you came in with a decent enough offer for like Ter Stegen or Fatty, they'd
probably say, yeah, this is it.
They'd probably say, yeah, they need to clear that. They need to clear it.
Yeah, they do. Anyway, like I said, we will get onto that later on in the show. But first, it is to get to our meat and bones of the podcast, which is not the Premier League rundown, because that's not happening yet. But it's time for EuropeVision, lads. We are resurrecting an old gimmick and an old jingle because now finally it's happening again. And not only is it happening, but it's literally happening every single day. It's like the World Cup, and I have to say I'm fucking loving it. I know they're not going to be doing it.
I will admit,
so good.
They're not going to keep up the single-legged rounds, knockout rounds, which is unfortunate. But I have to admit, I have been loving the single legs. They really needed to keep this in. They really need to keep this in.
Like I'd love it to be like as it were like a World Cup thing where like this like we're gonna put the semi-finals in this city and this city, neutral grounds, bring everyone together, big fucking football occasion. It'd be nice. It'd be great.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so it's like a happy accident.
Yeah.
So the way we're going to do this,
they are talking about keeping it like this
for next year at least. Yeah.
They won't. It won't last.
No, there's too much ad money to be made from it.
Yeah, it's TV money. They make far too much cash out of the double legs. Like that's the reason why they were implemented in the fucking first place.
Yeah, true. Again, in that case, you can imagine them going overboard and having a third leg in like the fucking Thunderdome or something like that. Just to.
In all fairness, now to them adding a third leg is more plausible than them reducing it to just the one.
That's what I'm saying. Like if they want to keep afloat, like.
That's how much the TV company and the TV revenues run the rule over fucking football now.
Right there, just tickling the box. That's all they're doing.
It's more likely. In all fairness, they probably will just take like a fucking leaf out of the NHL and just have them like the NHL, like the Stanley Cup playoff round. They're like it's a best of 7.
Yeah,
so you have to win 4 games. So like
And to be fair, if we get a best of 7 of Barcelona versus Bayern Munich, I am fucking all up for that. I am all up for that. That is just to watch Thomas Muller.
Do you want to go into explain? I am.
Do you know what? I am actually going to go into quite a lot of detail about that. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to do the Champions League, Europa League, and the Women's Champions League. And we're going to start off in the last 16 in each. Obviously, the women's one has only started, so we'll go up as far as we can. and I'll mention the matches, and if we've watched something, if we remember the match even, because some of this happened in the before times, we'll just chime in with our thoughts on it. So, first match I
guarantee you, I will not remember.
No. And you've probably been watching all the matches as well. This is like, this happened yesterday, Burkbach. It did. I still don't remember.
In all fairness, she is shit-faced.
Yes, in fairness.
Yeah, I am on my third drink.
That's fine. That's good. Nothing wrong with that. So, the first match I have on my list from the round of 16 is Dortmund versus PSG. The first leg ended up as a 2-1 win for Dortmund because of the unit sprinting his way through the PSG defence. But PSG did get their comeuppance in the end. They beat Dortmund 2-0 just before the lockdown. It was actually, I believe it was the first behind closed doors match in Europe, which was, I suppose, a feather in their cap, if you like. So, again, not much to say about that match. That happened 3 months ago. Let's move on. Real Madrid then and Man City, it was the same scoreline in both legs. It was 2-1, even though it was a 3-month difference between the matches. I don't know what to think about this match, really, because Man City were, okay. But I think it just kind of shown how, poor Spanish football may have become in the last few years. If the reigning champions are losing to Man City, who, as we all know, are not very good in Europe. They tend to overcook things.
Well, Pep hasn't been. I'm he's you have to go back as far as 2011. Wasn't he? Because City won both legs here, didn't they?
Yes, 2-1.
Yeah, so you'd have to go back because that was Pep's first away leg win since 2011 when he actually went and won the fucking trophy with Barcelona.
Yeah. That is
the fact
absurd,
that you have to go back 9 years. So the fact that here's how poor City are in Europe, that you have to go back 9 years. Pep is in Europe. You have to go back 9 years just to figure out not when he last won the trophy, but when he last won an away leg.
Yeah.
He just. We'll get more onto it when we talk on. They crashed out in the quarterfinals.
Indeed.
Get more onto it about how they just deal into. Yeah, Spanish football right now is a fucking dumpster fire. And Real, unfortunately, aren't even the worst of the dumpster fires.
Yeah, it says a lot. Just where do you fucking start with either of them, really? But as I said, we are focusing on one over the other at the minute. I'm sure if everything went well next season, everyone would start turning to Real and start looking at Zidane headbutting Bale every single 5 minutes for reasons. But I'm sure we'll talk about that when we need to. The other match I have then for the round of 16 was the fun team, Atalanta. Murdering Valencia 4-1 in the first leg in the before times, and then the return leg was a 3-4 win for Atalanta. Again, they are supposed to be defensively quite good, but they really don't show it in the scorelines. They're just a fun team to watch. And I'm actually quite glad to see them in the quarterfinals, and I'm quite glad to see them in Champions League next year. I'd love to play them because I think they would be good fucking fun.
But they'd be good fun to play against because all their defenders pretty much just walk up to the halfway line and stay there.
I was to say, they're so high up, it's ridiculous.
It's an intensely suicidal high line. They're literally, it's like a 0-4-3-3 kind of formation where the 0 is the defensive line, not there's no goalkeeper.
It works though. It does work. You can't say fairer than that.
It's fucking it works to a degree. When it comes up against a team that can deal with it's kind of like a heavy press, you're just going to leave acres of space in behind there, and that's what when they eventually got put out, that's all they did. They just knocked the ball over all of the fucking team running forward. Just going, hang on, if they're up here.
I really wanted to watch them. Every time they were on, I had to have I happened to have something on, and I was raging because I've never seen a team play underwater before, and I was so excited to see it, but never happened. Didn't work out. Maybe next season. Yeah.
No, in fairness, I did watch the first leg back months ago, and I just said I should be watching these guys all the time. These are great crack, because it is exactly what Neil said. It's just once they get the ball in their half, it's just blitz forward. They just take it and run. And the fact that they have this kind of Ricky Lambert-esque striker, Ilicic, just like running the show when he's like, let's face it, he's 45. He's old. Like, he's very old. He's 34. I'm not saying he's 45. I'm joking, but he is a very old striker. But the fact is that, like, between, like, they have like 6 strikers, and I think the stat was they have 45 goals between them this season, which is nuts for a strike force like that. Like, you typically have like it's not as evenly distributed, you know, but even still, like, Ilicic will come on and score 4 goals. Zapata will score a hat-trick from the bench. It's just crazy. Like, how did they do it? I don't know. They'll have to be like investigated for like for doping or something. I don't know. So another fixture that was done and dusted before the lockdown was Atletico Madrid and Liverpool. Madrid very much like was utter shithouses to us in the first leg when we were fucking bollocks, really, to be fair. And in the home tie, then they beat us, beat our home streak, if you want to count that, after extra time, because Adrian lost us the game. And according to Liverpool Twitter, lost us the Champions League final, because clearly we would have gone all the way, according to Liverpool Twitter. And now, according to Liverpool Twitter, because Adrian lost the Champions League, we should replace him with Karius, because his mistake in the final was not as bad as the one against Atletico. So when you're wondering why I'm picking Football Twitter for the cut of the season later on, that's why. Because this is the fake news that's going around now. Okay, so moving on then was quite frankly the surrendering of Frank Lampard's Chelsea to Bayern Munich. It was a 3-0 from the first leg, and then a couple of months later, Munich beat them 4-1. I don't think there's much to say about that. Munich were really, really good. Chelsea really, really bad, and they didn't really try.
Munich are really, really good, and Chelsea are quite bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not even joking about the Bayern Munich thing really being really good. We're seeing it right now. they're doing bits at the moment.
I've been seeing this whole time, but I didn't have a lot of hope for Chelsea, not just because I dislike the team intensely, but just with their defence.
Yeah, the keeper.
The defence, not even just Kepa, it's the whole defence in front of them, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to, we'll chat a wee bit more. It's not all him. I mean, he's posting up like recordly low numbers for a goalkeeper, but his defence in front of him just really aren't helping him out.
It just looks like the Chelsea team just don't coach defending.
No. I was actually about to say that, because like Kurt Zuma is, by all stats on paper, a very good defender until he put on that blue jersey of Chelsea and became like, a two-footed mess.
He's a fantastic player on loan.
He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. But it's just the whole defence. I mean, like, I read Opta stat there said that over the course of all the competitions, 11% of all of Chelsea's shots on target have been within the 6-yard box. It's like, what? Like, how are you expecting your goalkeeper to save any of them? Like, why is like 1 in every 10 shot on target inside your 6-yard box? That's just fucking crazy. That's insane. You can't expect your goalkeeper to save any of them.
No.
Fuck. Like they just, like, again, like, this is not, like, Kepa has been terrible, like, and the numbers he's been posting up have been fucking awful. But his defense are, when you look at the stats, and then if you watch any of the games, and if you watch a lot of them, I have eternal pity for you. But like, they ship shots in the best possible positions for the striker. Yeah. And you're just going like, wow, like, if you've got a goalkeeper that's routinely not making good saves and not making any kind of real saves, pairing him with a defense that's like running out a red carpet by the end of the 90 minutes. Yeah. That's
this way. I'm weakest on my left.
Absolutely. Let me get this velvet rope out of your way, you know? And the thing about Kepa is that, I mean, like, if you go to our previous podcast as well, when we were talking about Joe Hart and his decline, and I stated that, like, I knew Joe Hart was really in decline when, not because he's not getting the shots. Sometimes you're just not going to get to a shot. If a guy top bins it, it doesn't matter. Like, I hate this whole thing. Oh, the keeper didn't even dive for it. It's like, fuck that. If it goes in off the upright, he can dive all he fucking wants. He's not getting to it. You know, but where we knew Joe Hart was seriously in decline, and when he started losing his places and was without a club, was when he was getting the shots, but wasn't keeping them out. And that's what's happening with Kepa. He's getting to all these shots. him getting his hands to things isn't the issue. It's that when he gets his hands to things, it's either too late or he doesn't have the arm strength to keep them out. And that's quite bad. Now, the good news for Chelsea is that can be coached out. You know, if you've got a good goalkeeping coach, that can be very easily coached out. But the poor thing is that he's undergone this for an entire season. Yeah. So confidence-wise, he's completely fucked. Like, he's completely shot. You know, he's going to need months of work to come in. And also in that months of work, it means fielding him when he makes mistakes. So, like,
that's the thing.
You're going to have to give up points, well, goals, and therefore points in order to get that confidence back with him. And it's just like, if you've pissed £71 million off the wall.
Oh, fucking hell.
And another one.
But the thing is, like, and they're talking about, like, oh, Chelsea should go in for, like, Oblak. I was like, what? Like, you're not going to get him off of, like, they're going to have to go for higher than 71 million. I'm like, they're going to have to go for more than 71 million to get Oblak, because there's not a chance. Like, if I was Simeone, I'd be like, I want this check to arrive on a fucking flatbed.
Yes, absolutely.
They're not going to be able to replace Oblak, and there's no way they want Arrizabalaga in his position. He's fucking done. But also, Chelsea are going to need to make some kind of money back. So they've got Kepa. They signed Kepa to a 7-year deal. All right, so he's already on killer wages.
Yes.
And he's 5 years.
Have a killer fee as well.
He's 5 years left on his contract. So the reason why they signed him on a 7-year deal is so they could amortize his 71 million fee over 10 years.
Yes.
So he's 2 years into that. So his fee is only amortized down to about 50 million quid. So they're going to need 50 million for him so that they haven't made a loss. It's like, who's going to pay that? And I guarantee you, like, his wages by the end of that 7 years, he's probably going to be like looking at like over 250k a week.
More than likely, yeah, I'd say
Absolutely.
So.
Because by the end of that contract, because he's 25 now, by the end of that contract, he's going to be 30 years old.
Yeah, and then suddenly everyone's going like, actually, we'll call you.
Yeah, that's the thing. But like now, it's like 2 years into a 7-year deal, like he's apparently complete garbage. They fucked him. They utterly ruined him with the combination of poor coaching and a fucking terrible defense. They've Arsenaled him.
Yeah. Very good way of putting it.
And, so it's just hilarious. And wow, did they need to fix that? And I don't think, and they're just buying rafts of attacking players now next season, like the great attacking players. Ziyech, Werner, that's great. That's going to be. Yeah. They're going to ball it up front, but it's at the back, lads. Like,
that's the part that matters. Like, just saying. Again, we do have a segment for this later on, so we'll talk more about this.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyway, moving on then to another tie that was split before the before and after times. Lyon carried a 1-0 win against Juventus into the post-COVID times, and Lyon then beat them 2-1. They got there through away goals and sacked Sarri as a result. Although, to be fair, I get a feeling Sarri was going to be sacked regardless of what happened. If he had beaten Barcelona 10-0 in the Champions League final, I still think the old lady would have sacked him regardless, because it just didn't like him. They
didn't like him because, as well as that, like, he put Ronaldo in his box by not playing him one of the times, and Ronaldo threw a hissy fit and asked the board to sack him, according to some Twitter in the nose.
That has been the story going around.
But he was also coaching them quite wrong. I mean, like, Sarri likes a kind of like concerted press. It not only happens if you've got 11 players who are willing to do it. And like, the issues with Ronaldo is the same with Messi, in that he just won't track back. They just don't. They don't press. They don't defend. That's it. You're not going to do that. And in fact, actually, it's not even just with Barcelona. It's not even just Messi now. But with Juve, like, you've not got, like, they've assembled in order to accommodate him, his gargantuan wages and fees and shit like that. They've had to kind of construct a midfield comprised entirely of players they've gotten them for free.
On also exuberant wages.
And exuberant wages as well. And it's just not worked. Like, I think I remember somebody posted up there like a video of him and of like Ronaldo and Dybala like on the pitch, and like they're lip reading them, and it's just them complaining. Like there's like we're getting nothing from the midfield. Like there's nothing, and it's true. Like they're getting absolutely fuck all. And Sarri's is coaching them all the wrong way. He's trying to coach them all like one touch football, and you're like, that's not how Ronaldo's ever played. Ronaldo gets the ball, tries to beat a man, probably doesn't do it, passes it sideways until he can run past the guy, and then gets the ball back.
Yeah,
it's just not gonna. It's not gonna work. I genuinely did think he was going to drag them through it though, because he scored 2 goals and he was gunning for his hat trick in the last game.
I'm so glad he didn't though. Like I'm so sick of Ronaldo just being on my TV screen.
Although his first goal was a cracker. Like that's basically the goals he scores, where he just gets to an acre of space and just hits it. And like fuck, holy shit! He just absolutely whopped that in from like 25 yards, top corner. Get in there.
But what I do like about this is that like Juve then have Pirlo as the new manager.
I'm excited by this. I'm very excited.
He was promoted after 10 days as the under-23 manager and having not coached the city. Like, you look at that, you just think, what are they doing?
But he apparently doesn't like Aaron Ramsey either, and I'm just like, please come home, Aaron. We need a box-to-box midfielder who's attacking minded. Please come back.
Oh dear, I don't think that's going to happen somehow. So yes, moving on to North London, not that North London. Spurs and how they crashed out of the Champions League in acrimonious circumstances, thanks to Leipzig. 1-0 from the home tie and then 3-0 in the away tie. What a heartwarming story for Leipzig to get to the quarterfinals. And then lastly, we have Napoli-Barcelona, which was well poised in the end. It was a 1-1 draw from the first leg, and then Barcelona had just about had enough to beat a particularly stubborn Napoli side, which is, I guess, like they are fully like indoctrinated into the Gattuso style of play, which is to basically be complete bastards. Which was as is the style of the time, you know. It's what Gattuso does. So unfortunately, there wasn't enough for them in the end, and they're not even in Europe this next season. Napoli, I don't think they even qualified for the Europa League. They were well out. So yeah, no, Italy should be fun next season for Champions League. You've got Juve with Pirlo, you've got Conte's Inter Milan, which are actually the favourites to win Serie A next season, and then you've got Lazio, who are complete mentalists, and then Atalanta, who are also mentalists. They're all in the Champions League next season.
Fucking hell.
Yes, sir. Yes, please. That's a spicy meatball. Moving on then to the quarterfinals, where shit did actually happen. And the first one we're going to talk about tonight is Man City 1, Lyon 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, we were in a pub. We were in a brewery when this happened. We were peeking off the screen, and we were so very, very happy about this. But let's put our pundit hats on, and let's examine why Pep Guardiola is a complete bald fraud. Neil, do you want to start us off here? Or
Well,
we'll never get a word in edgeways now.
First off, fuck you. Secondly, he overthought it.
Again, why does he keep doing this?
Because
just play fucking ball.
He goes mental. Like he played like 5 defenders and 2 holding midfielders against the might of Lyon. The 7th best team in League 1, the Farmers League.
Yes.
So yeah, like he just goes crazy. I remember, I'm gonna pass it over to Burkbot now because of that Scorpy comment earlier on.
Yeah.
But it just reminds me of a Barney Rooney in the Guardian quote where he says that he imagines a world where Pep overthinks a Champions League game so much that he winds up just playing his normal team and winning.
It goes back full circle. It literally goes back full circle.
Yeah. So yeah, go for a Burkbot. Yeah. Whinger.
I know I'm going to come on to it later when we're talking about the women's match, but Joe Montemurro has a tendency to overthink the opposition and kind of promote the opposition in his own head. And I feel like that's what Pep Guardiola does, but only in the Champions League. And I presume it's because he doesn't see these teams week in, week out in the same amount of depth as he would in the Premier League, where he can decimate teams with like his tactical decisions and things like that. But yeah, in this, I don't like De Bruyne is always going to like. I really rate him as a player. And he got a goal in this game to bring them back level. And I think Pep's like kind of plan then was like, great, we've got De Bruyne on form. We'll get another goal out of him. But then as soon as Leon realised, oh, Jesus, this Milky Bar kid's kind of good. Like, let's mark him out of the game. They had no plan B. And his plan B, or like all his plan, like his other plans just like, again, he was overthinking them. He was like, oh, well, if they're, maybe if, we can trick them into not marking De Bruyne out of the game, then it might work. But no,
it's weird. All of these mad hyper defensive teams that he plays that never work, they all seem to have Gundogan in them. Like, because
biscuits during this podcast. You
bitch.
Honestly,
are they halloumi biscuits?
Halloumi biscuits, yeah.
No, but it's like Gundogan's getting really unfairly maligned in the City circles because every time, like, you just hear, "Oh, it's Gundogan again. Fuck! No, we're gonna lose." We're going, "No, he's just playing him wrong." And so it's like Rodri and Gundogan, and just like you're not going to get anything going forward out of these guys, in particular when you've got like a back five, and you're not doing anything with it. It was all like I remember like somebody I can't remember who it was who was saying that, like, oh, we did this because to counter the, that famed Leon counter-attack. And I'm like, they're 7th in League One. What would you do if it was up against Amiens or something like that, who are 5th, I think, or something like that? I was like, what would you do? Like,
in their defense, like there are 2 Leon sides we're talking about here. The one before and after they sacked their manager, because they sacked Silvino. And they were in 12th and 13th, and that was.
But the thing is, like, it doesn't even matter about like the opposition. Like, I mean, like, we'll talk about Leon all you want, and I don't.
Maybe he was looking at the Leon women's team and going, "Fuck."
He got them mixed up.
He got them mixed up.
He's telling
De Bruyne to mark Hedderberg, and everyone's going, "Who the fuck is Hedderberg?"
Like, he's like, "Oh shit, Pep's got off it." But the thing is,
who the fuck is Lucy Bronze?
Well, like, when you look at like the City team, you're like, what's wrong? Well, like, what's happened between him and Bernardo Silva? Like, he never plays Silva. Silva's always on the bench. Like, he's a fucking wonderful player.
I don't get this lately. What's happened? He was the best player last season. Won in the Premier League with the work rate.
When you consider that it's like Pep Guardiola, and we all know the kind of the tactics and how he likes to play, Bernardo Silva seems tailor-made for that. I've never seen a player more biologically suited to Pep Guardiola's tactics than Bernardo Silva. Like, what the fuck is going on?
This is going part of my thought process here for this, because the Athletic put out a very good article about this, about Guardiola overthinking this, and what they think is the root cause of this, they believe, is that Guardiola fundamentally doesn't trust his defenders. And apparently this goes back to the Bayern Munich days, where would play Javi Martinez in defence because he's a midfielder.
It was the Bayern Munich game where they lost 4-0 against Real Madrid, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
It was the two legs. I think, I can't remember who, like some Guardian writer, I think it was Jonathan David, who did this. He said, like, you trace it all this back to that game, the 2 legs against Real Madrid when he was the Bayern manager. Now, they lost the first leg 1-0, and then the second leg, the players apparently got to him and were like, oh, we have this Persönlichkeit. We have the personality. Like, let us off the leash. Don't fucking field 8 defensive players. Like, let us play our football. Let us go for it. And Pep, he acquiesced and he let them loose. And they all ran forward, and Bayern were just sitting there going, well, hang on. Oh, sorry, Real were sitting there. Real were sitting there going, hang on. If they're all up here, who's behind there? They just hit the ball over them and hit them on the counter 4 times, wound up winning 4-0. I think that was the game Sergio Ramos scored 2 goals in, and it was just, whenever that guy scores goals, part of me dies.
Yeah, no.
I fucking hate the guy, but like, that was just it. And apparently since then he's like, no, I will never allow the players to cloud.
This is where the obsession starts.
Yeah. That's, but even then, like, I think like the season before that, they crashed out to Roma, wasn't it?
Monaco, I believe.
Monaco.
Sorry. if you're talking about like his first season at City, it was Monaco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but even then, like he's been crashing out of Europe quite regularly. So I think tracing it all back to just that one game, I think is a little much.
Yes.
But
as well as that, like when you get yourself into a rut of constantly losing and you're not used to getting the wins, like it was pointed out again, we will come to it in the women's, but like when you're in the habit of winning, it's a lot easier to win games and make the right tactical decisions. And even if it isn't the right tactical decisions, you're more confident in making the changes to correct the mistakes you've made. But when, like, it just seems like he's just really nervous because he knows, I suppose in the Premier League, he knows he has the squad that will always be there or thereabouts to challenge for the title.
Yeah.
Whereas he's coming up against these really, really tough teams in Europe where there's an international spotlight on him, maybe more so than...
Yeah, maybe. But, like, when you look at that, you're thinking, like, all right, then Leon's famed counterattack. I'm like, is it a day better than like Crystal Palace? Like, because up against Palace is like Palace have got like Zaha and fucking Townsend. Townsend, yeah.
Townsend, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, they're great counter-attacking players. You know, like probably a wee bit better than the players in their positions that Leon has. I was like, what are they like? He just played his normal 4-3-3 and just whopped Palace. Why can't he do the same with Leon? Like
this is it.
Just stop over. It's not even stop overthinking it. Just stop thinking it. Just play your best team. Like I understand.
I got like maybe a theory that he has really sensitive ears. Okay, and when the Champions League team,
it's the anthem. Yeah, that's why the crowd always do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they boo it, and then he gets tinnitus, and he can't think straight.
I love this conspiracy theory, and it has nothing to do with the fact that clearly the Champions League is some sort of trigger that like this sort of shell shock kicks in, and so he just goes Aguero in goal now. Don't ask questions.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's
Kyle Walker get a goal.
No, don't believe it. I'm Kyle Walker. Shag me mum. So what I was going to say there was that you have this like I think like the second point I was going to make there was that like he doesn't trust his defenders. I think he trusts his midfielders too much on their technical ability. So you'll put in a Gundogan or Rodri into midfield or Fernandinho into defence when really they shouldn't be in there. They should be there doing the natural job. And then the third thing I think he has, and again, this is a very personal thing I'm going to say about Pep Guardiola, but I think you might back me up on this. I think he has a really inner jealousy of other teams, right? And again, I think this is like, because every one of these coaches has to have this competitive edge from somewhere. Like Mourinho has it for like, you know, like us against them, fake news, Donald Trump, tiny penises, all that sort of stuff. That's what Mourinho does to his team, right? He fake newses them. Whereas Guardiola says, we are better than everybody. We're better than them. We're going to show them how football is done. It's like, Pep, who's them? Them. Just go and attack, right? And then Klopp's going like, lads, let's have fucking fun. Yeah? Let's go have fun. Let's go win games. We all get lashed afterwards. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Not the kind of the Ferguson level lads. It's Tottenham.
Yeah, that's it. And like every manager has that inner competitive streak because that's they're footballers. They have to have that. It's their instinct. You know, that's why Frank Lampard went full on in Partridge over a game that didn't matter at the end of the fucking season because he's Frank Lampard. He has to do something about it. But with Guardiola, I think his issue is that he has to be number one, and I think this builds up from his Barcelona days where he was like in a way he was given the credit for this like beautiful Barcelona team blooming at the same time. You did have Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, all these like incredible players in the same team all at one time and just ruling Europe with an iron fist. And I think the difference is obviously gone to Munich and has tried to do the same thing and it didn't quite work out. And then he's now gone to Man City and tried to do the same thing and has not quite worked out at the same level. He wants to be the Bible that everyone else follows in European football. He wants to be writing each chapter of football like Johan Cruyff did, you know. And the trouble with that is, I think after a while you realise that there's actually more ways to skin a cat in football than you think. Like Klopp has arrived at gegenpressing, which is a very old style of form of football, but it works. It has always worked. That's why every German team plays the same way. That's their style. Italy has a defensive mentality to all their teams. like everyone has their own way of doing it. Guardiola trying to rewrite the history books with his own way is not going to work all the time. Like they all have a shelf life in the end, and Guardiola doesn't seem to tick that. He needs to be the number one coach. He has to be the mastermind, the genius, and he's not. Simple as. He's just another football coach who did really well for a while, and now he has another project that he has to work on.
I think the thing about it is that like you can be. He's not one thing or the other. Like you can be like you can be a great visionary, good coach, and still be sort of out of your depth
with certain aspects.
With certain aspects of it. So like people always say, oh, he doesn't really deserve a whole lot of credit for the Barcelona success because like, oh yeah, like you could put a tin of spam in charge of like Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Messi, and they'll fucking win La Liga and shit like that. But then again, when you realise, you go back and you actually look at the team that he didn't come into that. He had to clear out a lot of really aging legends in that.
Yes, he had to ditch out Ronaldinho and Deco. Like that's a big deal.
Exactly. Like that was a huge deal. Like you're thinking like, oh, you'd still look Busquets, but Busquets, PK, like they weren't in the team. Like
no,
they weren't even getting anywhere near. You have to bring them in. Like Messi, okay, then yeah, you'd Ronaldinho talking him up. I mean, there's that famous Ronaldinho interview where after he won the Ballon d'Or and he was asked, "So what's it like being the best player in the world?" And he starts laughing and he goes, "I'm not even the best player at this club." And he's referring to a 19 or 18-year-old Messi who's behind him in the fucking clip. So there's
lads, there's scraps.
Oh, there is scraps.
Handbags.
Neymar cleared out Gnabry, but made it look like he was fouled in the process. And then I think Gnabry's after getting his revenge, and scraps have ensued.
Yeah.
I don't
know why they're picking a fight with Serge Gnabry. He learned under Tony Pulis. Like,
fuck that, yeah. I think looking at the replay, it says here that like Neymar got taken out by Goretzka and his tumble took him into Gnabry.
More or less, yeah.
And it's fair to say Gnabry's not impressed.
No, he was not.
But yeah, it's getting to a point now where Pep's starting to be found out.
Yeah, that's what it is.
He's overthinking it, and he's leaving out his best players, and that's not the best way to play football.
Yeah,
do you think
absolutely.
he's got caught up in his own hype as well?
I think it is. I think it is that.
I think he just puts the shits up himself. Like he just overthinks it, and I really think he just, like if you've got Bernardo Silva, you play him.
Yeah.
You don't. If you're putting him on the bench, like you kind of deserve to lose.
Yeah, 100%. Right. No, very, very well put. Very well put. Moving on to the Euro quarterfinals then. First off was Atalanta 1, PSG 2. Really hard on Atalanta. It was looking so close to them to get to the semi-finals. They were 1-0 up on PSG and then 2 goals in injury time. And the winning goal was
sickening.
Choupo-Moting, who joined PSG from Stoke. Relegated Stoke.
I know. Again, it's another kind of sign that we're living in the dumbest timeline that like Barcelona are fielding like former Middlesbrough players, and Paris Saint-Germain have gotten to the Champions League final with somebody who was rejected by Stoke.
Yeah, it's sad, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, either way,
that was heartbreaking though, because I think we were all so excited to see Atlantis like do really and then PSG swooping in at the last minute.
Go see horses! Go see horses!
Hey!
And spearfist them right out of the Champions League. And
curse you, merciful Poseidon.
Yeah, absolutely. Too bad that hammerhead shark they fielded in midfield didn't take Marquinhos out of it.
Tactically, I thought like a great white would have been better in that midfield, but that's just me.
It's the peripheral vision of the fucking.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
You can never play forward though. That's the problem with him. He's a number 6 player. The other quarterfinal that happened was a bit of a shocker. I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting this. Was Leipzig beating Atletico 2-1, and the reason I said it was that I was worried that Atletico was going to make it to the final. But Leipzig proved me wrong. A Wernerless Leipzig proved me wrong, which I'm very happy.
I will jump in on this because over lockdown I did get to watch some of the German league, and I know disgustingly flavoured energy drink, Leipzig, they have had time to adjust to the Werner departure.
Yeah.
So what I was interested to see was, like, could they replicate their kind of change of formation and kind of change of playing style into the Champions League? And this was actually the first match I got to watch properly, or that I was kind of properly watching and not getting distracted by other things, of them since the German league ended. And they are good. That's so annoying. They play really nice football.
They
Like,
do, yeah.
you can't, like, you're like, oh, I hate this, but that was a really good pass. Oh, that was so good. I hate them. And that's what I felt watching it, which is kind of frustrating when you're a neutral, quote, neutral watching the game. But yeah, no, I'm not as big a hater of Atletico as you, and I'm not entirely sure why you hate Atletico.
Just hate them. I hate them on principle, Bert. Just the very notion of them existing is what makes it hurt. It's just like, you actually just hate football. All of you in the team just hate football. You still have Diego Costa in your books. Fucking put him back into the Ice Age. Like, fucking hell, like.
Fuck.
Yeah, like, honestly.
No, I think one person kind of won it against, for the Atletico Leipzig game. One person won it, and that was Nagelsmann.
Yeah.
He played his tactics fucking perfectly. Read up a few tactics columns and everything. Really, like, it was fantastic. They completely rotated their right flank constantly, and Atletico just couldn't cope with it. With the ball, I've read this from. I've actually got it up here now on the column. Without the ball, they pushed into a 4-2-3-1, but with the ball, they switched to a 3-1-5-1 kind of thing, and at times had their entire 10-men outfield in Atletico's third of the pitch. So, like,
that's pretty high. That's pretty high.
Yeah, like, it's ridiculous. Like, at times the defenders were actually past the midfield circle.
Yeah.
Into the opposition's half. So, yeah, so, like, Nagelsmann just fucking went for the jugular.
And it worked.
Completely. And it fucking worked, like, and yeah. I dislike Leipzig quite fundamentally. But yeah, like, his shift from a 4 to a 3-man defense, 3-man in attack, 4-man in defense kind of phase thing, is something I watched that quite a lot, because it's what Arteta is going to be. I have a feeling about. I have a feeling, and it's backed up by nearly every kind of analyst, that it's exactly what Arteta is going to be doing at Arsenal. With Arsenal, we're going to be 3-man defense in attack with a 4-man backline when we're defending. So that's why I was looking at, and if we can get it, yeah.
Yes.
If we can get it working as well as they did, I'm actually going to be quite happy.
Okay.
I think I'm behind you in this.
Yes, you are.
Stream.
Give it a minute. Moving on then. So you went into the juggler then, Neil, and funny you should mention jugglers, because we're about to talk about Barcelona versus Bayern Munich. Very much a game to hate to see it if you're a Barcelona fan.
This is one of those decisions that, you will look back in your life and say, yeah, you made the wrong choice there, Burkbot. I decided to watch boxing. Oh shit! There's a goal. I'm so behind. Jesus
you're quite a while behind, actually.
Yeah, we're actually just seeing the replays of it now. It was Coleman that got it.
Yeah.
Great header.
This night I was like, Bayern Barcelona. That's gonna be like one of those matches that on paper is gonna be great and full of goals and action, but it's probably gonna be one of those 0-0 fucking stalemates. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch a boxer that I know, and fucking hell, he lost, fucking raging, and then I missed out on one of the best matches of the Champions League history.
Yes. Like Brazil, Germany vibes off this, isn't it? Like it is pure
Yeah.
this team that's full of hubris and pomposity and self-worth, just being decimated by a team that's just really fucking good at football right now. And point positive right now, they're still very good at football right now. Like it was just wonderful to see. It really is a case if you love to see it, because all the stuff that we've been talking about with Barcelona on these podcasts has all come to the forefront right at the same time. Like the poor squad planning, the manager that's well out of his depth, the lack of leadership at the top of the club, Messi just looking jaded at his club that he has put his heart and soul into, just withering a slow death.
The photo of him at half time with him and Ter Stegen.
Yeah,
like Messi's just in the sitting room in the dressing room, and he's just like, he looks like somebody with just PTSD.
Yeah,
and Ter Stegen's it's the one with Ter Stegen standing at the doorway as well, like, and it's just like,
it looked like a fucking Roman painting. It was like a fresco or something.
Really did. Like, it was horrendous. Like,
yeah,
there was lots of moments of beauty. terrible.
I have my favorites. Can we all pick a favorite from this match?
I think Coutinho coming off the bench to score 2 goals and rack up 1 assist.
That's my boy.
Against Barcelona, whilst also being Barcelona's record signing. Like, the fact that, like, the hubris of loaning him out to a fellow Champions League contender club and not putting a clause into his contract stating he could not play against you.
Like that just like what I don't understand. Like, I thought that was a prerequisite for any loan deal, is that you can't play against your parent club.
Not in Europe.
No, not in Europe. It has to be stated.
It's domestic leagues. Domestic leagues, yes, but in Europe they made this decision with Courtois. Courtois was bought by Chelsea but brought back on loan to Atletico, and then Atletico and Chelsea faced each other in the quarterfinals one year, and they asked for dispensation from UEFA. So UEFA said yes, he can play against his parent club in European competitions. So that's a precedence now. So Coutinho was fair game to play against his own team.
Unless they had stated no.
Yeah, it had to be in a condition, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas in the domestic leagues, it's kind of it doesn't have to be stated. It's a rule.
It's a rule, yeah.
Yeah, right, okay, that makes sense, because I was just like, how the fuck can this even happen? I love that it can.
Yeah.
I love that it's happening right now to Barcelona, but like, that's just the pinnacle of bad business, that you don't let a player, like, okay, I know we've been kind of slagging Coutinho because he left Liverpool and hasn't reached the heights of his potential, I suppose, could have gotten into, but he's still a good player. Like, he's still a player that you don't give to someone free reign of, let him do his damage against us. Like, and like, especially a player with that kind of fuck you mental attitude of, you know, you let me go, you fuckers. I'm going to show you what you're missing out on. It's like a fucking...
Well, they've been desperate to get rid of him.
Recent breakup.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, someone who's recently been broken up with, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to show my ex what he's missing out on. And it's like, you know, putting up all the photos of, like, but that's just what, like, Coutinho was just doing there. He was like, fuck you, this is what you could have had.
He's on the rebound, so what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it as it looks like Bayern are probably going to win the whole thing, and if they do win the whole thing, Barcelona have to pay Liverpool an extra £5 million because he'll have won the Champions League
with Bayern Munich,
with not even the team that he signed the fucking clause contract with. Like, it's just like
another one.
If I read this in a Steve Bruce novel, I'd be like, Stevie,
this is an early special.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, you know what, you need to stop smoking whatever crack you've got, because he's clearly selling you some bad shit.
Yes,
but it's just absolutely crazy, and it just stands to, like, I've been ragging on Barcelona the whole time this entire kind of season of podcasts, and it will continue to do so, because it just all culminated right here.
Exactly.
They're absolute garbage. Setien lost his job pretty much the instant of the full-time whistle went.
Fairly sure he lost it at half-time.
Yeah. Well, in all fairness, after half time, they came back. It was 4-2. Suarez still at home for 4-2, and you're sitting there going, right, okay, it's 4-2. There's 30 minutes left. You know, they could still actually kind of get something back. And but no, it didn't happen. It's garbage. And yeah,
can I just point out as well? I know it's not really related to the Barcelona shitstorm, but kind of is. The Raúl Sanllehi, who Arsenal got from Barcelona, also lost his job around the same time. Well, he left the club by but like all of those shady dealings that Barcelona have been doing over the years, and Raúl was 100% at the centre of them. And then all of a sudden, he's disappearing out of the spotlight at Arsenal. I actually do think, in my deep
a week after the Cronkies appoint a serious lawyer as a non-executive director to the board, Sanllehi walks out of the club. I was like, somebody
like Grandpa Simpson walking into the brothel.
Walking in, he sees a lawyer,
like big brown envelope, like shit, nope.
He walks in to see a lawyer appointed by the owners. He's like, nope, ain't doing this.
Oh dear. Yes. So moving on then to the semi-finals. There's actually not much to speak about in these ones. They're both regulation wins for Munich and PSG, both 3-0. Munich beat Lyon 3-0. Lyon did put up a fight. All credit to them. Leipzig against PSG, not so much. Nagelsmann kind of overcooked it a bit, but either way, it was kind of a foregone conclusion, really. Where we're looking at a Bayern PSG final anyway, from the quarters. So
the disgustingly sugary drink team crashed. Had a massive sugar crash.
Yeah.
They literally didn't. I mean, like, it was hilarious as to the extent to which they just did not show up. I mean, like, people, I was reading like post-match reports of this saying, PSG's superstars cut Leipzig to bits. I was like, what? No, they didn't. The Leipzig players practically lay down and died in the middle of the pitch. Fucking 10 minutes. Like, what are you doing? Like, you fucking knobs. They didn't know. Yeah. I mean, like, Di Maria, the master conductor. Yeah, because he was given like 9 acres of space to do whatever he wants with. You give a player, but I'm like, he's undoubtedly talented, but he's not quick.
He's a randomizer who's the space investigator, as we know. It's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Actually.
So, like, if you
don't give him a galaxy.
if you give him the ball and a whole lot of space, you don't press him, you don't put him under pressure. He's going to like be able to do a whole lot of shit with the ball, and he did. Like, it was crazy. I was just looking at Leipzig going, you do realise this is a Champions League semi-final, lads? Like, has somebody told him this?
Yeah.
Because they didn't seem to like know or care.
No, I don't think so. The only thing striking about Leipzig was his... Go for it.
The Bayern are trying. I know on my stream it's late, but Bayern are trying to make a sub to bring Perisic on for Koeman. Yeah. But the fourth officials board isn't working, so they've had to go and run and get a second board.
I was wondering what that was about.
For her.
Yeah.
The board. She was holding up the board and there was nothing on it, and then the coach had to tell her like there's nothing on it, and then she had to run off and get another one.
I was wondering what that was about. Yeah.
Coutinho, they put Coutinho on for Gnabry as well.
Oh, yeah. I love him to bits. So the final is going on at the moment. Munich are currently leading 1-0. 20 minutes to go. So we'll know soon who's won or who's hasn't in this sense. So like I said, it's been a really fucking good game. I have to say, it's been a massive improvement on the final from last season, Liverpool Spurs.
The tempo has just been brilliant.
It's been great. It really has been. Like, these are like, this is the difference when you have two. Holy shit! Neuer's on fire tonight, lads. Holy fucking shit! It's the best match I've seen Neuer have in years.
This whole Champions League was kind of like a big, in particular the build up to the.
He's saving his fucking heel.
Yeah, the match between
mad bastards.
Them and the Bayern Munich Barcelona match was the kind of the battle of the German number ones. Ter Stegen beat Neuer, and Neuer's just determined this entire competition to go, I am the top fucking dog. He's had a resurgence.
Yeah,
he's had his resurgence, and he's fucking maintaining it, and he is killing it.
It's actually been a real theme through the Munich side because, like, the real story of this team, like, obviously you have great success stories like Gnabry and Alphonso Davies, but I think the real story for me in
Are
this
you
Munich side,
fucking shitting me? My stream has just skipped forward and completely
Missed
missed
the
the
save.
Neuer save.
you'll get to read another replay of
Oh,
it in a minute.
I'm getting the replays now. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that, right? I think the real story about this Munich side is that the utility players are back in fashion because, like, the coach who brought in, Hans Flick, is not a notable coach, but the reason he's in is because he knows how Munich works. He knows how German football works. He just knows stuff. He's not like Niko Kovac and goes, no, we should be pragmatic and be counterattacking. And, like, everyone else is going, like, mate, this isn't Frankfurt anymore. You don't have to do that. We're the big team now. Play like the big team. And, like, shockingly, this is what they're doing by putting out their best team and, like, working as a one unit. So when you have Muller playing the pocket, finding space, and being a really intelligent player in the right time, right space, the right time, Joshua Kimmich, who, again, I think he's a very good player overall. I think he's a better number 6 than he is a right back. But point notwithstanding, you can play him anywhere. Like he's such a good footballer. Generally, it doesn't really matter where you play him, just so long as you play him. And then everyone else kind of just plays around that in a sense. And even just the fact that, like, Lewandowski is still keeping goals whilst having so much, like, competition in a sense on the sides with Gnabry and Coleman. Like, you still get the exact same service from the midfield because, like, the industry hasn't changed. They're still the same. Like, this is why they've found such a resurgence, because they've really finally realized, oh, this is how we do football now. Yes, I remember. Fuck, why didn't we do that 5, 6, 7 years ago? Oh yeah, Pep Guardiola. Fuck, I forgot about that. Yeah, it's pretty simple, lads. Just play fucking football, as Klopp says. Simple as. So we'll take this time then as... Oh, hang on, Mbappe's on the break here. I'll pause here for commentary. Hang on. Oh, shimmy. He's beaten 1. He's beaten 2. That was Kimmich back defending. Great stuff. Okay, so we'll take this time then to rattle through the Europa League. So catching up then, the round of 16 ended with Istanbul Başakşehir beaten 3-1 by Copenhagen. Wolves beat Olympiacos 2-1, which was a pretty good game. I watched that myself. Rangers valiantly lost to Leverkusen 4-1. Shakhtar Donetsk battered Wolfsburg 5-1. These are all aggregate scores, by the way. Inter Milan beat Getafe 2-0. Sevilla beat Roma 2-0, which was a bit of a big hitter early out. Basel beaten Frankfurt 4-0, which was a bit of a shock. And then United beaten Las Glyn 7-1 on aggregates, but that was a kind of a foregone formality at that point. The quarterfinals then started off with Shakhtar Donetsk beating Basel 4-1, which was, again, Shakhtar were pretty good in this tournament. Man United beat Copenhagen 1-0 after extra time, which was a problematic result, if best, if you're a Man United fan. Although, again, not the most problematic thing that's happened to your club in the last 2 weeks. Inter Milan then beat Bayer Leverkusen 2-1 in a pretty close game, but Inter had enough. And Wolves then lost out to Sevilla 1-0. I think the pressure got to them in the end, lads. You know, the pressure we put on them at the end of the last podcast definitely got to them. I did actually watch this.
We're totally claiming credit for that.
Yeah. In fairness, I did watch this match. Sevilla were just better. Like, Wolves fought valiantly. They were just a bit inexperienced with that sort of stuff. I know it's a bit odd to say with such, like, good heads like Cody and Moutinho and all them, but yeah, it was just they kind of, like, burnt out Traore too quickly, and then when they realised that wasn't working, they didn't have a plan B. So, you know, that's just kind of how it worked.
What I found
They
with
ran out of
Wolves
baby oil for
Yeah, that's it. Grease,
when they played him as they're off the bench at the start of the restart after lockdown, they were devastating because they would tire teams out because they had the likes of, like, Jota and Jimenez to kind of tire, who would do running, who would, you know, take the shots, put people under pressure. And then, like, people are wrecked from marking these, and then you bring on fucking Traore. And I think that game plan worked really well for them.
Yeah.
But then, you know, they switched to starting Traore, which, you know, you can see why they would do that, but it just didn't have the same impact. And I feel that was the fatal flaw with them in the Europa League as well, that if they had played him off the bench, then they probably would have had more success.
Possibly, yeah.
And the world's supply of baby oil wouldn't have been as used up.
Well, the thing is that he's just not a good he's not got the experience yet to be a very good starter. I mean, I was shitting myself when he was starting against us in the league, and we contained them quite well because over the time we got used to him. We were even able to sub in other players to contain him. And like Maitland-Niles was brought on solely just to mark him out of the game.
Because Tierney was fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Because Tierney was running up and down after him, going like, "I can't hold on to it. I can't. I'm not. If I try and shoulder this guy off, I'm gonna get snapped in half. I've already had 2 dislocated shoulders. This guy's gonna fucking knock them straight out of my body."
Yes.
So it's like it's just mad. But yeah, he's not got the game management to be like you can't just rampage up and down. This isn't rugby.
Yeah.
You can't just bulldoze your way through an entire team like for 90 straight fucking minutes. It's just not going to work. Off the bench, he's just a nightmare. I mean, like, if you're the central defender or wing back even, and you've been pegging after all these quick players or other faster, pacey players, and then after 65 minutes, they bring in this fucking Hulk who can hit 40 kilometers an hour in a straight line. You're going, lads, fuck off. This guy isn't even human.
This is the kind of ironic thing because Wolves' main target this season is Ocampos, who was the guy who scored against them to knock them out of the Europa League. And I think the idea is that we can have Ocampos start, burn him out, and then bring Traore on to be like, and now this, that is a good idea when you think about it. But still, like, they should be. There's a lot more to the Wolves side than just that, I guess. But who am I to argue with them?
No, it's good to specialise. It's just you've got 2 things. They can get Ocampos and then kind of 1-2 teams out of it. Or they can put Traore through some serious game management training and go, like, if you're starting, you can't just do this from the beginning. Pace yourself, run. You and Jimenez link up really well. Jota's there as well. He's got some skill. He can ball. Get him to game manage. Get him to play make a bit. Get him to do he still do his runs, but not to fucking absolutely try and stomp down entire teams.
That is the kind of thing that's stopping like the likes of us perhaps going for him because like if it is the case that we need to rely on him for an extended amount of time from injury or from like the Cup of Nations, whatever it is, like that is the sort of stuff that would really fuck our team up. Is that like he's good for half an hour, not 90 minutes? You know what I mean? So is that sort of idea of it?
Yeah.
So moving on then to the semi-finals, Sevilla beat Man United 2-1 in what was a very like it was a match that happened. Sevilla in the Europa League, like it's about as inevitable as the fucking Undertaker at this point. Speaking of which, then was Inter Milan smashing Shakhtar 5-0. I have to say I did like how this final was poised because like Sevilla like had this kind of like this always have this aura in the Europa League of like, oh, these lads know what they're doing. And then Inter Milan then suddenly had this like mega squad romp up with Lukaku like rampaging through teams and like a really solid defense and a not too bad goalkeeper either. Midfield maybe a bit light, but tactically they had been working out the flaws, and especially
they've got an Alexis Sanchez who wants to play football.
Again, another big thing. They got Alexis back working and he's complementing Lautaro, Martinez and Lukaku up front. Everything's working really well for them. So it was a really nicely poised final. And in the end, Sevilla beat them 3-2, which, again, we watched this live ourselves. Really fun game. Again, another really great final to watch. It was end-to-end, really. And it was like 1-0, 1-all, 2-1, 2-all. And again, the greatest irony of it all is that the match ends with a Lukaku own goal.
Yeah.
Even though he's been on a scoring streak in Europe and still technically is on a scoring streak in Europe. So he can carry this into the Champions League and it will still count, I hope.
Hitting in an opposition defender's wayward overhead goal.
It's great. It's great. It's beautiful.
You love to see it.
You love to see it. And well done to Sevilla for their 9,000th Europa League win. Even though you already qualified for Europe anyway, so you really just nicked it off Wolves. Let's be fair. Give a team that really need it. Like Manchester
Is
United.
there, I read somewhere, don't they have like literally every single Europa League record?
More or less, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
There's no, like, it's every single record, like the most wins, match wins, most amount of goals scored, longest streak of winning, all this shit like that. Like,
and again, the great irony of it is that's all from the Unai Emery days.
Yeah, it is.
Curiously enough, yeah.
They've won like
works.
7 of the last 7 Europa League finals. They've won 4 of them now.
Yes, because they're in, and they have a perfect record in those finals.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, moving on then, Burkbot, it's time to talk about the women's. How has the Champions League been going on for you guys?
Woo! For Arsenal, well, after like 159 days without any competitive football, we look like a team that hadn't played competitive football in about 159 days.
Yeah, as it turns out, the best preparation for playing football is not playing football.
Now, on Friday we had the two quarterfinals. On one side of the draw, I suppose, which this really bugs me, right? Because UEFA has this ample opportunity on a weekend where you've got the men's match coming up on the Sunday. There's a big gap on the Friday and Saturday where people can get the build up to the final on the Sunday. Yet they don't stagger the times of the quarterfinals for the women's. Like, they could have had 4 matches on at different times, each getting their own viewership. Yet they played them at the same time, which that's just a bugbear of mine, where you say they're promoting women's football, but there's absolutely no evidence of that whatsoever.
No offense, no, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm never ever going to say that they're in any way guilty of promoting women's football. Didn't they? They did this with the men's as well, though. So I think it's just like incompetence right across the board. The men's games weren't really staggered either.
Europa Leagues were the same as well.
Yeah,
all so standardized times.
I think it's like incompetence across the board. But like, you're absolutely right. Like, they really, a bit of thought for the women's game would really gone.
Yeah, especially like you had some really good matches. Okay, on Friday we had Wolfsburg versus Glasgow City. Glasgow City being the only non-professional team left in the competition. Again, their league was very, obviously it is quite a lower ranking league, considering it's not professional. But that they did so well to get there. But yeah, the class was definitely on show, where it was a 9-1 defeat with Wolfsburg barely getting out of second gear.
Glasgow did get the best goal, though.
Yeah, Glasgow, that one goal that they scored was a fucking thumper.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. But you've got like Pernille Harder and Alexander Pop, who like are just fucking world class. And what Glasgow were very good at doing was kind of being physical. And that physicality really fucking, like, the first few heavy challenges in the match went in, and that just, fucking riled up those two. And that's not what you want to do. You do not want to rile up, Pernille Harder, or she will score a hat-trick against you.
The bear there, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're losing the name, lads, to be fair.
But yeah, no, that was a fair. Like, I had the 2 matches running on at the same time, so I had the, commentary in one ear of one match, and I had the TV on with the other match on. The other match being the all Spanish affair of Atletico Madrid, Johnson's least favorite team, and Barcelona, and these are 2 teams that have obviously quite established men's teams and are getting there in terms of establishing their women's team. Kind of the most interesting I'm just watching a free kick go wide there. Most interesting tidbit of, I suppose, the lineups of these 2 teams is that it had 1 or 2 kind of former WSL players. So you had Tony Duggan, who is actually a former Barcelona player. She got to the final with Barcelona last year. when they were resoundingly beaten by Lyon. And after that, she said she wanted a new challenge. She basically said, this is as far as Barcelona are going to go. I want a new challenge. And she went to Atletico Madrid, who are there to kind of put pressure on Barcelona in the Spanish league. And you also had Jade Moore. Now, Jade Moore is one of these kind of players that Phil Neville in the England Lionesses, he hasn't a clue she exists.
She's not from Manchester. Doesn't matter. Doesn't count.
Yeah, she is she's your quintessential defensive midfielder. She is fantastic at breaking up play. Like, she kind of does the Gini Wijnaldum kind of
steal,
kind of,
like midfield steal.
Yeah. Barcelona. She's only after moving to it. She's after coming from the American League. I cannot remember which team she was with. I don't know what was it. Portland. I can't remember who she was with, but she's after moving over from the American League to Atletico Madrid, and Barcelona did not know how to get through her. She just broke up everything. So she, it was a really, really tight game. In terms of, in one match you had just waves and waves of Wolfsburg attack and the poor Scottish defence just getting absolutely torn asunder, and they were either missing chances or the goalkeeper was somehow getting a face to it. But in the other match, it was completely end to end. Like, it was possession wise, there was nothing in it. All the stats kind of point to it being such an even game. But in the end, it was Hammerai for Barcelona, who got like a decent shot away. There was nothing particularly amazing about it. But Barcelona go through. But they're going through to the semi-finals, having not used 2 or 3 of their usual starting 11, which is interesting. So you've got Vicky Losada coming back from an injury that she sustained pretty much just before lockdown. So all of lockdown, she's been kind of coming back through that injury, and to have her get a couple of minutes at the end of the match just to warm her up, I would be worried for Wolfsburg, but I'd say the pick of the semi-final ties is Wolfsburg and Barca. That's going to be on
that is a
Tuesday
tasty
night.
tie. Yeah, that's a good one.
I have it picked that Wolfsburg will go all the way, which could be controversial. So then the other side of the draw, we had the 2 French teams, Lyon playing Bayern Munich, and we had PSG versus Arsenal. I didn't watch the Bayern Munich Lyon game. Quite obviously, but I didn't even want to have any other distractions on while I cried. But I just to briefly talk about that, Lyon scraped through, and it is a scrape through 2-1. They had a couple more chances in Bayern, but Bayern are fairly solid. Nothing really troubled them except obviously the 2 goals that they did score. But Lyon's goal that they scored at the start was Nikita Paris committing suicide on the pitch. It is the most violent goal I've ever seen scored, in all honesty. She went in for a diving header and got completely fucking cunted out of it by the keeper. She couldn't breathe for a while afterwards. Literally all the air got knocked out of her. But she's from Liverpool, so she was grand. She was fine after a few minutes. But yeah, I didn't see the goal that Bayern scored was a fucking cracker of a free kick, which shows that Lyon's kind of defensive kind of set up there. It was a really poor goal to concede from Lyon's point of view, so that could be something that PSG can bring into the semi-final. And in the other game, then we had PSG versus Arsenal. PSG have played 2 matches, the French Cup semi-final and the French Cup final, which they lost on penalties to Lyon. This match started off a bit weird with the lineups. So Jordan Nobbs didn't start.
Yes, I was about to.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Did you see that?
Yeah, I was about to say, what do you think about the issue to not start Knobs? Because Montemurro's getting a bit of shit about it now.
Yeah, so this is where I mentioned where he overthinks the opposition.
Yeah.
And it happens with our big matches in the WSL, where he will play a team that is set up to defend against the opposition's strengths, or what he perceives to be the opposition's strengths, and not necessarily to our strengths.
Yeah.
So in this situation, in this match, we have his idea was that, well, they are going to bypass the midfield and use the wingers to cross into their two really good forwards. So we are going to put our best wingers out on this.
We played with two out-and-out wingers, trying to exploit their fullbacks.
But not even, because Beth Mead isn't necessarily an out-and-out winger.
Yeah.
Now, like we've made the point before that Arsenal's team are very fluid in their positioning. They're very fluid in their possession play. But there's lots of things happening about a minute in the future for me, but on this stream.
Yeah, carry on. Sorry, Lola. Carry on.
So first of all, he does. What we should have done is overloaded the midfield, because where PSG's weakness is their midfield. Now, saying Formiga is a weakness just sounds like an oxymoron, because Formiga is one of the best midfielders.
She's 43 though, in
seen.
fairness.
That's it. Like, she would not be able to run with Jordan Nobbs all day. The way Jordan Nobbs runs is a box-to-box midfielder in the vein of Gerrard.
Yeah.
Who will just keep running with a motor, or James Milner, who will just keep going no matter what. And that's what, like, that was the first thing. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, I'm just seeing what's happening there. That when I was putting out my predicted team, I predicted that we'd play Nobbs and the likes of Formiga, or whoever they bring in, if Formiga didn't start. They wouldn't be able to keep up with Jordan Nobbs and have that as our central attacking point. That didn't happen. We decided to use the wings and overload their wings and kind of bypass the midfield. But what happened is, you don't play your best wingers. Like, we had Beth Mead, who, despite scoring a goal in the first half, I think had a very poor game. Didn't control possession, didn't hold possession well enough, made kind of every decision I think she made, apart from that goal, which was offside, but like all her decisions are kind of the wrong one. Like, she opted to go infield when she should have, taken it on a run. She, little balls that she tried to slip into Viv in the forwards were completely overhit and things like that. And I get it. The team looked tired and they looked rusty, but there was just some things that could have been done differently.
Yeah.
But one of the main things is PSG targeted Katie McCabe at left back, and that was painfully obvious right from the start. Now, Katie McCabe has played a fullback for us for the season and a half, I think. She is not a natural defender at all. She is, for Ireland, she's a number 10 or a left winger.
Left winger, I'd say. Yeah.
Out of necessity for Arsenal. But Arsenal since have bought in Steph Catley, who is arguably the best left back in the world, and he didn't play. And you have Danny, who is this really strong physical player, up against McCabe, who is a very strong physical player, do not get me wrong. Mm-hmm. So I think that could have possibly been the rationale of Joe putting Katie on, because Katie will take a battering for you and she will give a battering back in response.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was a mistake where she tried to hold the ball up against Diani. Diani gets a toe poke out, gets the ball away. Leah Valti's caught flat-footed, and a superb cross into the box catches the newly returned Bruna, and she just slots home. But overall, I think that was the main issue there. Was like, I think had we gone into the game with a reinforced midfield and kind of used the wings as an occasional option, not our only attacking threat, we would have done a lot better.
Yeah.
But I cannot I cannot say we didn't deserve to lose. Like I can't sit here as a a football pundit of sorts to say like, oh yeah, we were hard done by, the ref was shit. Like, no, it wasn't the case. Like, we were not at the races. We made a lot of mistakes. PSG were just
Also, waiting until the
better.
76th minute before making kind of subs, because Knobs didn't come on until the 76th minute. And we're going like, what's she going to do in 15 fucking minutes?
Yeah.
You know, like, get her
Like,
on earlier.
At half time was the time to make that change, because it
Mhm.
was painfully obvious from the first half. Now, in saying that, but when PSG scored their first goal, which was scored directly from a corner, or cross came in, and Katoto wasn't being like, Leah Williamson was marking her in air quotes, but I've never seen such lax defending from Leah Williamson. Like,
Yeah,
that
like Katoto just had to take like one step forward, and she'd completely lost Williamson, and you're like, that's not
fairness,
marking.
it
If
was
all I
a
have to do
fucking
is take one step, you're not marking me. You know.
Like, it's unlike her, but again, we played for Bayern have just won. We played like 3 or 4 pre-season friendlies against teams of varying
Dubious.
like, we never got to know the score, but we played newly promoted Aston Villa to the WSL. We played Charlton, who are the division below us, and we played Bristol City, who are relegation candidates for the season. And they're the teams that we were told about. Now, I don't know if there's other matches that went on that we haven't been told about, but that's not necessarily the competition you want to be playing against to go in to play PSG in a quarterfinal.
Yeah, whereas PSG set themselves up with a, cup final game against Lyon, which is somewhat better preparation.
Yeah. But I think that's genuinely, I think if we had played someone like Man City in a pre-season friendly, a team that we actively hate, a team that are good, of that height, like, we cannot deny that they're a good team, but like, if we played someone of a higher caliber, and I know that it's COVID and all of this can be thrown out as excuses, but if you want to win the Champions League, you're going to have to fork out, and you're going to have to try a bit better. It's frustrating, and I was devastated, because the likes of Kim Little do not deserve to lose matches, and she is just fucking inspirational. Like, she's so good. I cannot express how good she is. Like, her touch, she gets the ball, and she has no right to win the ball in a foot race against one of the best right backs in the world. She gets the ball, holds it up for so long, because it's taking forever to anyone to catch up and provide some sort of support for her. And then eventually she gets tired of waiting for Lisa Evans or Beth Mead to come close to her, so she just whacks it off the defender and gets a corner, and then turns around and goes, "For fuck's sake!"
Yeah. So in your kind of, just listen to the analysis there from yourself.
Yeah.
It seems like you're poising up a Lyon-Wolfsburg final. Would that be the right assessment?
Yeah, like, PSG
that would be one hell of a final.
Yeah.
And I actually tipped Wolfsburg to do it. Like, they were able. That would be my hot take, because Lyon they've got the kind of winners mentality, like what Pep doesn't have in the Champions League, is that, like, he doesn't have this experience of, like, winning, and he doesn't know the same way Pep Guardiola doesn't know how to win in the Champions League. Lyon don't know how to lose. But they showed frailties against Bayern Munich. They showed maybe a bit of complacency in the French League Cup against PSG, allowing it to go to penalties, having to squeeze through on an error from Christine Endler, who skied her penalty kick into the crossbar. Like, I just picked Wolfsburg. I just think Harder is just such a fucking amazing footballer. And Alexandra Pop, I remember watching her in the under-17s World Cup on Eurosport a long time ago. And I remember turning around, I was like, haha, Pop's a funny name. I'm going to keep it. And she ended up being player of the tournament and top goal scorer. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to be unreal, even with her stupid name. And yeah, I was right. So, I called it. You're welcome, Alexandra Pop. I, practically made your career, but
doubt it.
yeah, I know. No, but like she is one of my favorite players. Honestly, I've actually followed her career since the under-17s World Cup, and I'm not a stalker, but she is one of my favorite players that doesn't play for Arsenal, or has never even played or even been linked with Arsenal.
But she will sign for Man City next season.
That'll probably happen. They've got fucking Sam Hughes, Rose Lavelle at the minute.
Yeah.
And
although I will say one thing, from our game against PSV, Moritz looks like a fucking superb signing for us.
Oh my God, one of my favourite bits, right? Okay, there's a couple of kind of, gifable moments of the match. But there's one where Moritz fucking clatters the ball off Nadim, and Nadim tries to call it as a PSG throw. And Moritz grabs the ball off her and squares up to her, and Nadim backtracks, and she's fucking out of there. But she's after retweeting the gif of Moritz squaring up to her and her backing off, going, never flinched, and everyone's going, what the fuck, you're backing off so quickly you nearly fall over.
What do you mean never flinched? You ran 3 yards in the opposite direction.
Not technically a flinch, it was a fling.
Yeah, not flinch.
Critical difference.
Yeah.
Her legs practically Scooby-Doo, where they levitate off the air, constantly spinning before she moves back.
She had a great game.
Yeah, Moritz looks like a good
addition.
Addition to the squad. She can play left back or right back. Kate McCabe was stuck doing the fucking horrendous job of marking Diani out of it, but no, I feel sorry. I know I was harsh on McCabe earlier on, but she's doing a job until she made one horrendous mistake, and it cost us. But if it wasn't her, it would have been Williamson, because she was also having an off day.
Yeah, exactly. It says something that Moritz was second pretty much. In my opinion, Moritz was second only to Little in our best players that night. Yeah.
And Schnatterbeck, actually, when she came on, I thought she did very well. Jen Beattie went off at 2 minutes after half-time. She obviously had an injury going into half-time. Was probably just seeing how she was getting on. She went off, and Schnatterbeck came on, and I'd say she was feeling hard done by not starting in the first place, because she'd played a lot of our Champions League matches with Quinn as our centre-back pairing. So, and that is another thing. I feel raging for Louise Quinn and the Hulk, who have left the squad despite being the number one choices at centre-back and goalkeeper going into the Champions League so far.
Yeah.
Quinn actually was playing at the exact same time for Fiorentina, her new club, where she recorded a 4-0 clean sheet. So she had a better game. Probably enjoyed playing it more than her former teammates.
Yes.
But we are not in the Champions League anymore. Arsenal didn't qualify because they finished third in the league, and we have not. The only chance we could get back in was by winning it. So
wait a minute, I thought the WSL isn't the third place going?
Nope.
No.
You sure?
They were trying to negotiate it, but no.
Okay. Maybe next season, I think the coefficients might change for
it's next season the coefficients change.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Yeah.
But yeah, maybe by next season we'll qualify, but no, not at the minute. And I would like to see the team play a bit better in our opening game against Reading next week, where we see the return of Danielle Carter and Emma Mitchell after they have just left. So Emma Mitchell, who was the longest standing player in the squad, her and Danielle were two of the longest serving players at the squad. Left and will be straight back on opening match day.
Could be worse. They could be playing for Spurs.
Yeah, to be fair.
Let's think about that way. Silver lining, all right? Silver lining. So, we will check back on our next podcast, which will be like a Premier League preview, but we'll discuss the WSL and the Champions League in that podcast as well.
Because there's going to be a lot of gossip surrounding the start of the Women's League with a lot of incoming and outgoings.
Yes, I no doubt, and obviously with the men's game, it'd be the same case too.